Hey guys, Andy here. So, you know that weird button on your air fryer or the mystery light on your dashboard? Most people spend 20 minutes Googling what they do, what they mean. But I'm going to show you how to find the answer in like 3 seconds with a photo. Now, I know it's another video about AI, but I basically just came to a realization that just almost anybody can make use of AI. And I'm going to show you sort of how easy and how useful it actually is. So I got the idea of this video and in some ways just realised how handy AI could be this Christmas when I was staying with my aunt, and each room in her house has its own thermostat, and I was trying to operate it and it wasn't really acting how I expected it to act, and I didn't seem to be able to work it basically. But typical bloke fashion, no, I don't need any manuals, I don't need any help, I can work this out. But I couldn't, it just didn't make sense. Whatever I was pressing, it wasn't working. And I just had the idea of using Gemini. It kind of just really surprised me how helpful and how quickly it was so helpful as well, to be fair. So in this case, I'm using Gemini. We do have a family plan, so I don't know. I think I'm almost certain Gemini is available to everybody. There might be some things that we have access to that you don't if you're not paying in any way. I'm not sure. Please let me know in the comments if you find that this is the case. But let me take you through some of the examples of how I've used Gemini. And this first one here is the one I was talking about. So I took a photo of the thermostat on the wall and I said to it, how do I use this thermostat? And it came back with, it knew what it was, it sort of explained what it was looking at, but then the more important bit was explain the different ways in which I could control it. And this, looking at this now, makes me think, yeah, this is probably why I didn't really understand. So I think I was probably pressing the up and the down arrows, and I was pressing set, and then it just went back to a different temperature. And I didn't do this bit. I don't quite know why you do up and down arrows, then set your temperature. Anyway, that's what it wanted. But actually, I noticed this one underneath, a temperature hold mode, which was ideal for me. I just wanted the heat on for a little while I was asleep, and then it could turn off again. I wasn't in there during the day. And it explained exactly how to do it. Press H, set the duration, press H again, set the temperature, press A to apply. And that was it. And it worked. It worked amazingly. And I learned that literally within seconds. I could see and I did it and it was done. And I just thought that was kind of fantastic. So then some of the other examples. A short while after, Mother messaged me and my brother. She was having a bit of a clear out in the loft apparently and had found some technology that she wasn't really sure what it was and was it any use. So she messaged us, what should I do with this? Is it any use? And we gave an answer, but I thought, I wonder what Gemini would make of it. So I used the photo that Mother had sent and I put it in. I found it in my loft, it's only used to me, it's worth selling. What else would I do? And it just gave some, I thought, really interesting information. So yeah, it says not really worth selling. No one was really going to use it because it'd be a bit of a security risk, and it's not really worth much. I mean, it gives the answers in dollars, which interesting, but still, that's all you really need to know, isn't it? I think we can convert that easy enough to sort of a pounds-ish value. And it gave some other ideas of what you could do with it, which I thought was interesting. But its recommendation, e-waste recycling, which basically was the recommendation that we'd given back to Mother. So again, I just thought, yeah, that's really useful. If Mother didn't have anyone like me or my brother to ask, she could have asked Gemini and it would have given her the same answer that we did, actually. And the next one, now this was an interesting one. I've got a cupboard in my kitchen that doesn't close quite properly. It sort of closes to, but then almost just sags out a centimetre or two open. It's been that way for a good few months, and I just thought, I wonder what Gemini can tell me. And this is an example where it wasn't perfect, it wasn't amazing, and in fact the cheeky bleeder told me to, well, clean for a start. It said your hinge is just dirty. All right, fair enough. And And it did give me full instructions of what the different screws, so let me just show you that. That is the hinge, and yeah, you can see the debris that it's sort of talking about, which is fair. And I don't think I have actually cleaned it out just yet, so I really should, because I'd be annoyed actually if that is the answer and I ignored it. It gives some quick fixes. It explains what the different screws all do, some common problems and their fixes. And then I've said that the door doesn't close fully, and it's given some answers, but it's not really, basically it wasn't able to help. But it did, well actually the screws, I just think I just need to replace the hinge. I think the hinge itself was just worn out, because even the screws are wearing thin and my Phillips head was starting to spin. But definitely an interesting and useful response. Let me move on to, so this was more of I think I'd started having the idea that I might make this video, and I just wanted to try out some different things that I was doing. At Christmas I got given a very nice new towel, but actually I need to double check that now, because I think it says 30 and it read it as being 30, but looking at the photo I'm not sure if it doesn't say 50, so I'll have to double check that actually. Anyway, so yeah, new towel with elements of I think silk in it, and I was a bit worried, I don't damage this new towel. So I thought, okay, well I'm going to wash all of my towels together, so let me give it the tag from each towel and then show it what my washing machine is and ask it, how do I wash these towels together? Now, the interesting thing, so it basically suggested that although 2 of the towels were sort of recommending 30 degrees, I should use 40 because it's kind of a sweet spot. I'm not sure that's how that works. Don't you have to go at the lowest temperature and that's it? It gives some stuff to avoid. It talks a little bit about, can you tumble dry? Now this bit, honestly, I don't think I would have realised. The symbol, the circle with 2 dots, high heat is allowed. The circle with 1 dot is low heat only. So again, that's really useful information. A few quick tips. So it gives you a few tips on things. I mean, the deep colour circle is quite an obvious one. But this was interesting. The label on your towel specifically mentioned that fabric conditioners will affect absorbency. Using them makes towels waterproof over time so they won't dry as well. I don't know that. How do I wash at 30 degrees? So again, I've given it my washing machine. How do I wash at 30 degrees? And it has given me instructions on what settings to use, what to press, and what. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a pretty good answer in the end. What do we have next? Oh yeah, and then even things like, so, I mean, as it says here, I have 6 months off work next year, from the middle of March to middle of September. I'd like to spend a month in Spain. I would prefer a mountainous location, as one of the main reasons for the trip is to enjoy cycling. Where would you recommend I should go? And it talks about how amazing, how lucky I am almost. It recommends Girona and the Costa Brava. And it gives a load of reasoning why, which all sort of made sense. And then it gave an alternative as well. It told me when. And it gives me some comparisons. Important plans, planning tips, blah, blah, blah. So then, well, I thought, well, the other place I thought would be the Costa Blanca. So I just asked it, would the Costa Blanca be a good option? Costa Blanca is a phenomenal option, it says, and it explains some of the reasons why. And then it compares Girona to the Costa Blanca and it explains things I should bear in mind, which I thought was really, really good. Recommendation, the sweet spot strategy. If you have a full month, I would suggest base yourself in Calpe or Denia. So again, I think I only said the Costa Blanca, right? And it's picked out those two. Yeah, so I just said what about the Costa Blanca? And it said specifically Calpe or Denia, which I think people do know are the sort of good locations. Anyway, then I said, well, I've chosen to go to Girona, as I think the city itself and the locality of Barcelona will offer me more stuff to do when I'm not cycling. What would you recommend I go and see in the area? So again, then it lists through all the different stuff in Girona, and then it talks about day trips to Barcelona, talks about the cyclist-based stuff in Girona. Oh, and it's not, how have I lost it? Because then it says, the temps de flores. Since you're planning in 2027, would you like me to look up when the typical dates are? Let me try and continue this track, because I'd said already, is it going to load up? So let's do it live. Yes, please. I don't know why I'm polite and please and thank yous, but at the same time, when they come for us, it'll remember I've been polite to it. So it says, yeah, I think it'll be between May the 8th and May the 16th. why timing is important, crowds, early morning rides, open patios, suggestions, best of both worlds. And I love this stuff as well. So experience the energy of the Flower Festival first week, quieter roads opening the higher Pyrenean passes, final week, catch the start of the warm Mediterranean summer, which is interesting because wherever the other places that I'd asked it talked about the first week, it's basically go a little bit earlier. The first week, ride hard. The second week is the Flower Festival, so take some time off, let yourself recover, enjoy the Flower Festival, and then I think it's to then go back to your cycling and blah, blah, blah. And it gave, so it's interesting, it's given me a different option in this instance than it did the previous time. But still, I just love all this stuff that I wouldn't have known about, I wouldn't have thought to look up, and it just seems really so thorough. And then I thought, finally, so let's talk about how it actually works and how you would use it. Now, you can use the app on your phone. You know, I put a big Gemini, you might not be able to see, a big Gemini logo or icon in the middle, and there is the app. But I'm going to show you in the browser still. It's basically the same. You've got the same stuff. So in the app and the browser, you'll have this thing here where you get to choose which type. And I'm going to go to thinking. And again, these, I don't know if everyone has these or if this is because we do pay for like Google Storage, Google One it's called, I guess. We have Ops, Deep Research, Create Images, a Canvas, Guided Learning, Visual Layouts, which I guess are very similar down the bottom, and we're not going to worry about that. And we get to add stuff as well. So again, if you're adding a photo, if it's on your phone, you would be able to select to take a photo of something and it would put it straight into your request. Once you've added the thing, I'm not going to, in this instance, the example I'm going to do, but you add that and you still then get to type your question. Now, when we type in our question, you can give it as much context, as you've seen in a lot of these, like the Spanish cycling trip, you can give it as much context as you want and it will hopefully use all that information. I was thinking we'd use it for something I have used Gemini for before, which was, I could remember what happened in the film, but I can't remember what the film was called. Now, I can't give that exact example again, but I'm going to use my favourite film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and we'll start off giving it very little information. So I'm going to say, I can't remember had an old Ferrari in it. What was the movie? I think that's quite vague, but at the same time, if you're down the pub talking with your mate, if you said that, I think they might go, if they know the movie, they would go, oh, that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, isn't it? And there it is, look. The iconic film is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, released in 1986. It even tells me what the Ferrari is, look. Movie trivia. So, I mean, I just think that's great, isn't it? That wasn't a lot of information, but it's the kind of thing you might, I think it was a John Hughes film from the 80s. There was a Ferrari in it. Boom, there it is. And to me, that's kind of what this is about. It's like you were getting you're asking a really knowledgeable friend down the pub, giving them a bit of info, and they will talk to you back about, again, you might be saying, I fancy going to Spain for a cycling trip. They go, oh, do you know what you should think about Girona? Oh my God, in Girona, they've got the flower festival. Where it's got, imagine having that really knowledgeable mate. Or you've got like a team of 10 people that are going to do Googling and then going to kind of get together all the information they can and summarize it, like some of those first examples, like the thermostat. You could Google the thermostat name, you could maybe even image search and try and find out what brand it is and then find the manual and then look up the controls. Or you might have a team of 10 people that were doing this and they would come back to you and they would give you that little report like Gemini did. But that would still take 10, 15 minutes perhaps. It did it in like literally seconds. But just with, like if it's your mate down the pub, don't take it all as being 100% factual. If it's really important, do your own checking as well that what it's telling you is correct. Because you might get some wrong info. It might get kind of the wrong end of the stick or just not fully understand what you're asking. A little bit like the Hinge question. It gave me some really good info, but didn't really solve my problem in that case. But I mean, personally, I think in every instance that I've given an example of, it's provided value and it's provided it really quickly. So even if like the Hinge case, it didn't really solve, I think that's the only one it didn't really solve. And maybe the towels one, maybe slightly dicey, and I decided to stick with 30 degrees in the wash when it said use 40. But each time, I think it gave some really good value. So yeah, I just think, I know some people might be scared of AI, some people might think it's just for, boffins or people writing code or I don't know. But actually, it's very simple to use. and I think everybody can get some value from it. I would love to hear some stories in the comments down below of either how you've used it, or maybe why you don't want to use it. Maybe you think you've got a valid reason why none of us should be using it. And I get there's the sort of impact on the environment, and I think we need to take that seriously. I haven't got the answer for that, so let's not get into it, I suppose. But yeah, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and comments down below. How I've used it. What are some other great use cases? You know, I know people use them as training partners, be it lifting or cycling or running and stuff like that. So yeah, please do let me know in the comments. It'd be really interesting to hear. Or just your thoughts on what I've just explained. So yeah, please do comment. I'll read all and reply where necessary. But for now, my name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.